Let's set the record straight once and for all. King Charles did not choose to knight Sadiq Khan. He did not nominate him. He did not recommend him. He did not sit at a desk, look at a list, and say, yes, this is the one who deserves the sword today. This is the most polarizing figure I want to knight today. No, what he did was his job. The job of a constitutional monarch. To show up, keep silent, perform the ceremony, and carry the crown on his back. Not for glory, but for duty. But here we are, watching thousands of people, some of whom even call themselves quote-unquote monarchists, royalists, spewing outrage as if the king has had any say in this process. You're angry at the wrong person, let me tell you that. The British honors system is governed by committees, appointed by officials, and ultimately signed off by the Prime Minister. And the king? Well, he's at the very end of that chain, a rubber stamp with a face. He does not get to veto, unlike American presidents. He does not get to protest. He does not get to even raise an eyebrow. Okay? So if you're furious about Sadiq Khan being knighted, fine, by all means, you have that right. But don't you dare lay that fury at the king's feet. You want to talk about betrayal? Look to the government you elected. Look to the system you keep participating in. Or worse, you keep ignoring year after year. You know? Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Britain, England, isn't being turned into an Islamic country or state by the monarchy. It is being reshaped by the very voters, the legislators, the parties that you, the public, have empowered. I've seen it all over social media, across every platforms. Charles is Islamifying Britain. He's surrendering our values. He's not defending the faith. He's turned his back on the Christian faith. Really? Bro, really? Are we going to go there? You're going to accuse King Charles, the defender of faith, the head of the Church of England, the man who has held that sacred responsibility in silence and dignity, for betrayal? Let me ask you something, and I want you to really, really think before you answer. When was the last time you set foot in a church? When was the last time your children set foot in a church? When was the last time you opened a Bible, kneeled before God, prayed with humility? I'm waiting. When? Christmas? Because it was Christmas? Please. When? Exactly. You cry about the erosion of Christian values, yet you yourselves are the ones who've abandoned them. As we all know, church attendance is in free fall, in sharp decrease, is pretty much almost non-existent these days. It's not cool anymore to go to church, right, people? Christian conviction has turned into cultural aesthetics, and you think the problem is the king? No, the problem is you. You want to defend your country's values? Start living them. You know? I mean, think about it. England is a spiritually broken country. Okay? Its people no longer practice it's religion, quote unquote. You know, white folks, you guys don't practice what you preach, but yet you're the loudest when it comes to critics. And that is the bottom truth. You have no idea what it means to be a Christian anymore. And no wonder Islam is invading your country. Look how powerful they are in terms of spiritually connected they are to their faith and their practices and religion. So strong, in fact, that it makes you scared. You know, think about it. If I was the enemy and I see a country that's spiritually weak, and I see a country that pretty much doesn't even care for its king or its monarchy, because believe me, the only reason England is still England is precisely and only because of the monarchy. The world respects England not because of Brits, but because of the monarch. Okay? And you guys who so oftenly say, well, the queen is the best queen, and then of course that woman spent her entire life to make sure England stays above water. And all you guys do, the Brits, all you guys do is sink it to the ground like the Titanic. How shameful of you guys, you know? And meanwhile, King Charles, yes, the one you're dragging online, is doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Standing above politics, suffering in silence, serving the crown without the luxury of opinion. That's what it means to be a real monarch. Not a celebrity, not a political puppet, not a tabloid headline. A monarch sacrifices his voice so that the institution may survive. He gives up his power so that the country remains stable. And that is exactly what the late Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II did. For 70 years of her life, she made sure that England would remain England. But y'all, the Brits, you guys didn't even understand that part. You guys are too busy tweeting. You guys are too busy blaming someone else. Fix yourself first, you know? And that's what monarchy is. Sacrifice without control, service without freedom, honor without defense. And that's what you claim to support until, of course, it no longer flatters your view. And suddenly, you're disappointed in the king. Oh, it doesn't look good on the king. Why? Because of public opinion? Look where your public opinion's taken you. Islam is at your door. It's already invaded your country. And all you do is blame the king. Blame yourself for it. Blame yourself for it. You got no one else to blame but yourself. You know? Because let me tell you something. If your loyalty to the monarchy disappears the moment the monarch does something you don't personally like, that means you were never loyal at all. You weren't a monarchist or a royalist. You were just a fan of the crown, of the aesthetics, you know, of the fairy tales, but not of the philosophy. You did not understand the philosophy of monarchy. You like the optics, the horses, the balcony waves, the pageantry, you know. But you never took the time to understand what it actually means to carry that crown on your shoulders, you know, on your conscience, within you. That crown and you are fused as one. And you guys don't get it. You guys think it's all about them having money and riches and this and that. Yes, but at what cost? At the cost of a daily crucifixion, at the cost of silence, at the cost of being thrown stones and pebbles at you without being able to ask them to stop. So shame on you. Shame on every one of you who praises the monarchy in one breath and betrays it in the next. Shame on the YouTubers and influencers who speak as if they understand the philosophy of monarchy, but wouldn't even know the difference between a sovereign and a statesman if it smacked them across the face. A lot of these YouTubers, you guys all pretend to be following. A lot of them don't even know what it means to be a head of the household. So let alone imagine being head of state. Please, you guys are following some of them blindly. Some of them don't even know what the heck they're talking about. You know? So what do? You listen to them and then you blame the king. No. Blame the prime minister. Blame the system. Blame the political machine that controls this country while hiding behind the veil of democracy. But don't you dare blame the man who has no voice, but who serves that system with dignity, even if it uses him as a shield. You want a king who has power? No, you don't. No, you don't. Because the moment he actually exercised it, you'd be screaming for his head. I mean, we're still talking about Henry VIII for a reason, right? You guys know what a true king is with true powers. So no, you don't. It's not that Charles does not have balls. He's just trying not to use them, because if he was, damn, tell you, a lot of people would be smacked across the head. Charles did not betray you, people. He honors you. He's staying in his role. He's following his oath. He is respecting the process, even if it led him knighting a man he may not even agree with. And you wouldn't even know that, because you're so blinded by ignorance. All he did was his duty, and he kept his mouth shut. And you, look at you, all yapping, all disappointed, all this and all that. I must be the only person who sees this in a different light, so I must be stupid, because a lot of people are going to think I'm stupid, but I'm not. I see the monarchy for what it is. I understand the philosophy of monarchy. I understand the philosophy of having an identity in a country. I understand what the identity of the country is. And believe me, all these wars through the ages have not been fought just so that today England could fall so easily at the hand of foreign powers. Let's put it that way. You know, the great Elizabeth I was not known for the golden age, you know, if she didn't exercise her full powers. So really, really think on it, you guys. Really do. You know, you don't have to like who got knighted. You don't have to like the direction your country is going. Okay? But for God's sake, understand who's actually responsible. If Britain is changing, if England is becoming something else, it is because you let it, because you voted for it, because you abandoned your own values, and you want to pin the blame on a man who only ever tried to hold the center of your country together. So here's your wake-up call. King Charles is not the problem. King Charles is actually the last symbol holding this fractured nation together. Okay? And the minute you guys abolish the monarchy, the minute you guys take away the monarchy, that is the day you will relinquish your identity. Because England is nothing without the monarchy. People don't come to England to visit Brits. They come to England because the Queen lives there, because the King lives there, because the British monarchy is there. The entire world is fascinated by England, but not because of you poor Brits who don't understand how your country is rooted. Okay? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you guys are thinking over there in England. I wish I could live in England. I wish England would take people like us who really want to protect the values of the monarchy, you know, but then we would be labeled as foreigners and immigrants, right? I mean, you know, Look at the French. They say, look at the revolution. Okay, they took away the revolution. They abolished the monarchy. Okay, they guillotine their kings and queens. Look what we have today in France. Macron, Manu Macron et Jean-Michel Trogneux. Really? I mean, think about it. You know? Monarchy is what defines your country, people. Okay? And you guys don't see it. You guys don't get it. But you know what they say? You never know what you have until you've lost it. And all of you guys who are pointing at your own monarch, okay, that is ammunition for Islam to come in and invade your country. Because you no longer respect your parents. It's as a metaphor. Let's put it this way. In a country, you know, when you have a king, technically, or a queen, or a monarch, that monarch as a symbol is the umbrella for the entire country it represents. Therefore, it is also, in a way, the parent of that country, okay? And the day you people kick out your own parents out of their home, that is meant to be the umbrella to protect you, the image of you against foreign invaders, then you've signed your death warrant. You've signed your death sentence. Think about it. Think about it. So, pretty much, what is it you guys want? Like I said, it is not the king who betrayed you. It is you who betrayed the kingdom. So next time you're tempted to tweet some half-baked outrage, remember the truth. The sword may be in the king's hand, but the pen that write the names and sign the names, that's your name, and that's on your conscience. Now, let's entertain the what if, okay? Because we have to go full analysis on this, okay? Unlike people who always claim to have sources, okay? I don't depend on sources. I depend on common sense. And I'm an independent thinker. So I don't buy bullshit from people just because they said it. It has to make sense, right? So, for the sake of entertainment, what if King Charles had refused to knight Sadiq Khan? Because we've seen this. A lot of people are saying this. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of royalists and monarchists and, you know, so-called supporters are saying, but he had the right to refuse. He can refuse as the monarch. Okay, so for the sake of entertainment, okay, let's play this game for a moment. Let's play the what if game. So let's imagine a different scenario, okay, where King Charles refused to knight Sadiq Khan. What happens? Let's say he pauses during the ceremony. He lowers the sword. He makes a quiet but visible gesture, a refusal, a moment of hesitation. What if he had that moment of hesitation, okay? At first, a stunned silence. Then, chaos. The media explodes. Headlines across every major outlet. Monarch snubs Muslim mayor. Royal racism resurfaces. Crown caught in discrimination storm. And just like that, Charles would become the villain. Not for something he said, not for something he did, but this time for something he did not want to do or did not do. The same people calling him weak today will be the first to call him a bigot tomorrow. Okay? Because that's the trap, isn't it? If he knights Sadiq Khan, he's accused of betrayal. And if he refuses, he's accused of racism. There's no middle ground. There's no winning. You know, the mob doesn't want the king to lead. It wants the king to obey their outrage of the day. And the moment he steps out of line, they sharpen their pitchforks either way. Let's be brutally honest. Had King Charles refused, this country would be ignited. England would be ignited right now. The monarchy would be accused, again, of institutional racism, of Islamophobia, of colonialism, of being outdated and dangerous, of being a disgrace. Meghan Markle's ghost would rise like a specter, and every media outlet from London to Los Angeles would run side-by-side footage. Meghan's Oprah interview on one side and Charles refusing a Muslim man's knighthood on the other side by side on your screens. You know, the YouTubers will have a field day. And the narrative would write itself, obviously. And the crown would be hung in the public court of opinion without trial. And where would the so-called loyalists be then? Let me ask you that. Those who scream about tradition, gone. Those who claim to love the crown, silent. Because deep down, deep down, underneath all of those lies and layers of lies of being royalists and monarchists, deep down, they don't want a king. They want a mascot, a mirror that reflects only their ideals and their moods. So let's be very clear. Had King Charles refused, the monarchy would be in flames today. Had he protested, it would be a constitutional crisis today. Had he hesitated, it would be a cultural earthquake in England today. So what did he do? He obeyed the law. He followed tradition. He kept his oath. He performed his duty. And guess what? You're still angry. Tell me, Brits, what would you have done in his place? Because here's what no one wants to admit. King Charles did the only thing that preserves the monarchy from disappearing. And in doing so, he protected the very people accusing him. Even if it looks bad on him, even if it makes him look weak, even if it makes him look like he has no balls, even if it makes him look like he's not worthy of the crown, of the throne he inherited. He spared you from a crisis, even as you try to make one out of him. The fact that King Charles exists is your crisis. So now that we've entertained your side of the what if, let's confront the truth. And you're not going to like the truth. The truth is very uncomfortable. But somebody's got to say it. So let it be me. You would not have stood behind the king if he refused. You would have turned your back on him faster than you could spell hypocrisy. You'd have been the first one to tweet. So no, he's not the weak one. You are. You're the weak sauce. You're the weakest link in the country. You betrayed your kingdom. You betrayed your land. You betrayed the land you're born in. The land you so-called home. Then you know what? Let others invade it because you don't care for it. Let others invade it. You've been doing a fine job until now. So there's no going back. You lost the plot. You lost your country. You relinquished your country to others. You did not defend the gates of your kingdom. Shame on you. Shame on you. I wish I was a Brit. I wish. I wish I was born in England. Shoot, in this lifetime, if there's anything, I would have wished to have been born in England. To be an English woman. But I'm not. And so that's why I say you guys don't know what you have. You guys don't know the value of what you have. All you guys know is how to complain. You guys do exactly what Meghan Markle is doing. And yet you guys are talking shit about her. But you guys are doing the exact same thing. You guys are playing the victim card all the time. So, King Charles is not the weak one. You are. You want him to take a stand, but only if it's the one you agree with. You want him to defy the system, but only if he defies the right people. You want him to speak, but only if he says what makes you comfortable. You demand everything of the crown, but you give it nothing in return. So the next time you criticize the king or the monarchy, ask yourself, would you still support him if he did what you claim you wanted and burned the monarchy to the ground in the process? Because I doubt it. In fact, I know it. As a matter of fact, you know it. So now that we've seen both sides, we've broken down the process, we've exposed the hypocrisy, we've imagined the crisis that would erupt if King Charles had refused, and we've traced every thread of this fury back to its true source, not the crown, but the country. This is not about King Charles. This is about a public that has forgotten how its own system works. It's about a society that traded responsibility for rage, that elects poor leaders, ignores consequences, and then looks for someone ceremonial to crucify when they finally realize that reality hits home. You think you're defending England, Britain? You're tearing it apart with your own bare hands. Not because you oppose what the king did, but because you don't even understand what he could have done, or rather what he legally cannot do. This nation used to honor sacrifice. It used to understand symbolism. It used to respect quiet strength. Now it mocks it. It wants rebellion dressed up as tradition, but calls tradition betrayal the moment it is inconvenient. King Charles is not your enemy. He is your mirror. He reflects what this country was and what it could still be if only you'd open your eyes. If it had the courage to grow up and take accountability. So here's the truth you don't want to face. The crown did not fail you. You failed the crown. And unless you're ready to vote better, lead better, pray harder, and think deeper, you'll keep looking for scapegoats, and you'll keep missing the only one to blame, yourselves. Because right now, your country is spiritually weak. And when a country is weak, and they believe in nothing, and they stand for nothing, they will fall for everything and anything. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support, and please, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. It will help our channel grow. And again, as always, as ever, with much love, this is Vespera signing off.